Okay, answering your questions from a while ago, from March 25th. Jesus Christmas, March? Wow. Okay. From Bubba Jones. Did you think up terribly offensive or don't ever look at me while actually in lines at the bank slash coffee shop just daydreaming about bopping some rude jerk in front of you? How often do you rework a real life scenario into a scene? The answer to that is basically 50% yes. I did make those two videos. I recorded them after going to those places. Like I did go to the bank and I did wait in line, but nobody ever said anything rude to me, and I didn't daydream bopping them in the head. And at the cafe, I did order coffee before I had coffee, just a regular coffee with my debit card, but I didn't get a look. I just imagined that. What if I did get a look? What if I was a crazy person? What if? What if I was a crazy person waiting in line in both of these two places? And that's what basically the whole premises of those two scenes and plenty of other minute hour things. It's just like nothing really happens. It's just a very crazy person, so it's all just kind of going on in their imagination, their very heightened imagination. They're getting these very micro slights in real life and then turning it into this very operatic, violent fantasy, which is something that I do, of course. Like, that train of thought comes from my real life train of thought. I have plenty of ridiculous, violent, or just silly fantasies. One or the other, sometimes both. um so I would say plenty often I'll rework like the base scenario or something like that into a scene, but it's never like a straight transcription of events. Biogen X2B, do you have to practice hitting those long high notes in your songs, like Come Here Kid or This Song Sounds Terrible? And if so, how do you train slash prepare? Uh, I guess I basically had to practice. I had to practice in the sense that it's all pre-recorded, and I just record it until I get a good take. So it's sometimes hit it on the first one, but for long high notes specifically, those probably take a couple takes to do decently. And I multi-track, which makes a lot easier to make it sound good because it covers up just little mistakes. That's just like multi-track. It's just recording more than one vocal take and then playing them at the same time. They kind of even each other out, and they give a little chorusy sound effect. So I do that a lot, which helps. I don't have any training. I did like musicals in high school. That's my level of training, quite low. And the only sort of preparation thing I do is like want to get my voice like warmed up to the point where I can get into the higher register and do the real belty stuff. So I usually, when I'm recording a song, I'll record the lower parts, like the bass type parts first, and then work my way up to the higher stuff. Once, because like the lower stuff helps warm up the voice. Cody, is anyone allowed to animate your audio? Yes. If yes, do you want to see it before anyone else? Will you upload it on your channel if it is high enough quality for TMH brand? I started animating Poop Your Pants Man, hoping to get your blessing or ask for forgiveness. Okay. Yes, you can animate my audio. Please do. That would be excellent. That would be awesome. I would like that. If yes, do I want to see it before anyone else? Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's not a requirement. I don't demand that, but I will. I would like to. Will you upload it on your channel if it is high enough quality for the TMH brand? I mean, basically, you answered your own question there. If it's high enough quality for the TMH brand, yes, but that's like a, that's not like there's not like some set of check boxes or something, like some set of criteria that I could say this will get on and this won't. It's just, if I watch it and I really like it, if I really, really like it, then hell yeah, I'd put it on my channel. But, if you just make it and you put it on your channel, I'll also share it from my channel, which might be better for you, maybe. You started animating Poop Your Pants, man? God bless you. That's an old one. That's an old one. Yeah, that's way old. Yes. So I'm blessed. I bless you. I bless you. No forgiveness required. Allison, do you only do TMH or do you have a day job as well? I do have a day job, technically. I am writing a video game with some other people for a big YouTuber. One of those big multi-million subscribed YouTubers just sort of happened into this job. These people who are making the game, I'm just like a part of their team. I've been brought into the fold of this team, and they've made some cool games, some popular stuff. Anyway, I don't think I'm technically allowed to actually go into the super specifics of what any of it is, but it's just some mobile game that has required a lot of writing. And to be honest, I've done shit work for it recently. The other guy who's writing it is much better at the job, but I do still have the job, and so it's there, and I do it, and there's a huge amount of work to be done for this, always writing and rewriting, and so yes, I have a job. It is difficult though, to balance because it's like a creative job, so it's sort of difficult to balance that with TMH, trying to figure out which ideas go where. And it's like kind of, because it's writing and it's writing video games in particular, it's like it's working a different creative muscle. But I'm getting very muscly, very creatively muscly. I'm gonna bust out of my. Okay, anyway. Bester, what's your earliest memory when you realize you've got, quote unquote, different sense of humor? I still don't realize that. I don't think my sense of humor is that different. I get into sometimes some weird subject matter. Sometimes it gets a little dark. Sometimes it gets a little violent. Sometimes though, it's not like, I don't think I don't know what the defining trait is of my sense of humor, but ultimately I feel like I'm just a kind of silly guy, a goofy dude. They've been around forever, it's nothing too crazy. So I guess, the answer is I've never realized it. Reagan Holland, I'm going to film school and I'd love to do live action videos of the trials relays. Is that something that's okay by you? Sure, of course. That sounds like quite the undertaking, my friend, but good luck to you. Also, what is the name of the song at the end of the Haunted Darkness? I know it's by Kano, but I haven't been able to find it. That one's called Baby Not Tonight. Last question for now. What led you to discover Philip Glass and Kano? Because they seem like very vastly different types of music. Did someone show you them, or did you just happen upon it on your own? Philip Glass, I knew, I had heard his work, like, when I was a kid, like, not recognizing, like, that it was a specific, like, I don't know, like, I didn't know who Philip Glass was, but I remember hearing his music. His music's everywhere. I think probably one of the earlier things is like the Truman Show uses his music. He's actually got a little cameo in the Truman Show as the guy playing the piano in the moon. Um, but I became more specifically aware of Philip Glass and his whole library of music. Probably firstly, like my first semester in college, I took this documentary film class and we watched the film Koyaanisqatsi, which is a pretty cool movie. It's got a real baller Philip Glass soundtrack. We're watching it in this big screening room, so it was really booming. It was busting up. And so then was like, okay, now I know that was a great soundtrack. Now I know who this person is. And then I sort of looked through his other stuff and found that I already knew a lot of his work. And then really it was like when I started making the Minute Hour in 2014, that was when I really went through and just like listened to every like album and soundtrack that Philip Glass had made that I could find on the internet and became intimately familiar. Intimately. I jerked off to them. And Kano I was on Google Play Music, and I remember I was searching. I was on the radio stations, those freaking internet radio stations where just like auto cue some sort of playlist based on the genre, and I had put in Italo disco or Italo disco because that's a fun genre, and got a couple songs by Kano and liked them, and I just went through their work and bada bing bada boom. Joseph Petroni, what is your background? Excuse me. What experiences turned you into the Minute Hour that we know today? Where does the name the Minute Hour come from? / what does it mean? I'm trying to think of like I don't want to go super personal. What is my background? I've got what a vague question, Joseph Petroni. What is your background? I grew up in upstate New York. I have a pretty large family, 4 siblings. We're all jammed into a basement, me and my 3 brothers. A sweaty basement. What experiences turned me into the Minute Hour? I don't know. How am I supposed to answer this question? I don't know. What experiences turned me into the Minute Hour? I suppose every single thing that happened to me, I guess. I can't. I would have to really meditate on this one, or like go to a therapist or something to really get to the bottom of what experiences have made me the Minute Hour. Where does the name the Minute Hour come from? What does it mean? It means nothing. It's just the reason that I liked it. I had a couple, maybe 5 or 6 potential names that I was going to call the Minute Hour, and they were all bad. The Minute Hour was the least bad of them. I liked it because it's just like an arbitrary contradiction. It's short, It's and that's that. That's what it means, and that's what it is. It's nothing. Robert St. Angelo, what's some of the software you use in your workflow? If you could live only by eating one type of vegetable, what would it be? Okay, obviously for that one, Robert, it's the onion. The onion is the only vegetable I need. It's the main vegetable I cook with. It's the building block of so many recipes. You want to put onion in there when you're cooking, no matter what. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say no matter what, every single recipe can be approved with some cooked onion. I like raw onion too. Nothing against that. But it's, it's a little intense for some people. What's some of the software you use in your workflow? The main one is Audacity. That's all the sound recording and editing. All in Audacity. Free program. Pretty easy to use, especially if you've ever used any sort of editing software before and you have like a kind of base knowledge of how computer editing works. I use Adobe Premiere Pro for video editing. That's mainly just because I've had it for a very long time, so I'm familiar with it. But it's like I'm not eager to recommend that because that's pricey over time. Got the stupid Adobe subscription model. Everybody complains about it, and so do I. And any other software that is InDesign for the zine. Although I think we're trying to switch to Affinity again to get away from the subscription model. And what is also like GIMP used for just like some photo editing for the zine? That's a free program. And occasionally I use Fruity Loops FL Studio for making the computer music. I think that's pretty much every software I use. Generally good music. What are some bands/artists that you've listened to the most in the last 5 years? How have your past partners reacted to TMH channel and your skits/songs? Do you ever record in front of them, and was it awkward? Okay, bands and artists. I'm all over the place. I usually I'll find a band or an artist and I'll just listen to them obsessively for a couple months, and then maybe take a year break or a couple years. I was listening to a lot. Now that it's like getting hot out again, I'm getting my drunk summer tunes back, which is like Front 242. They have an album called Back Catalog, which is a collection of their stuff, which I listen to while drinking a lot. There's some old country album I like by Sanford Clark called They Call Me Country. And then YouTube always auto-cues up Requiem for an Almost Lady. Lee Hazelwood, Requiem for an Almost Lady. They're both short 25-minute albums, but I get in little loops where I just get stuck listening to them for a while. They make you want to play Fallout New Vegas. Past partners, right? Okay, so I've only had one girlfriend since starting the Minute Hour. I had just broken up with a girlfriend when I started the Minute Hour. Hell yeah. But the one that I was dating while the Minute Hour was going, is like, they were generally supportive, but they weren't really fans. I don't even think they really listened to the stuff, which is fine. Like I wasn't, it's like, I only want people to listen to it if they enjoy it. It would have been painful for me if someone was listening to it just like out of a sense of duty, and then like either telling me that they hate it every time or lying and say that it's like pretending that they like it. Either of those would be uncomfortable. I never recorded I don't record in front of anybody. That would be awkward. Yes. I mean, I've done that before with singing, which is a little less awkward because it's already planned. You're just trying to do it right. But with like improv stuff especially, it'd be kind of weird. Like you're improving in front of a person, but also they're not allowed to laugh. I feel like that would mess up my receptors would get all confused, and I would do a bad job. But that's all entirely imagined, so who knows? Wade McManus, where do you find your passion and motivation in this busybody world, both in work and in fun? Do you share your channel with friends and loved ones, and what do they think of it? Also, what the heck is your email? May want to try to commission your beautiful pipes on something down the road. My email is theminutehour@gmail.com. And that's it. Do I share my channel? Oh, God. Do I share my channel with friends and loved ones? What do they think of it? Yes, I do. I do. When I was like working at Target for a couple of years ago, I was sharing my channel with anybody who would listen, because it's all I do. It's the main driving force in my life. And like if I tried to keep it a secret from the people that I know in real life, I gotta let people know, just because like that's what I'm always doing. That's what I'm always working on. Like, people didn't know that existed, then I don't even know. I don't know what they would think that I was doing all the time. But they probably just think I'm a freaking gamer or something. Where do you find your passion and motivation? I've been like this for a while, like wanting to make funny stuff and put it on the internet for at least like since, I don't know, 8th grade or something. So it's been a lot. It's been many years at this point where there just is this drive to make stuff. And when I go for a long period of time without making something, I become obsessed with making something, anything. I, but I don't really know, I don't know where it comes from. I sometimes use beer and coffee and cigarettes, all these substances to activate such motivation, but it is latent inside me. Sometimes just a matter of turning it on, like turning the valve. Ricky Ricardo, who got to keep the original Farmer, Math is Bad, and Big Fat Lady drawings? You were the artist. Me, baby. Me, Ricky. I own all that shit because I can't draw. I can't draw. The artist can draw. He can draw whatever he wants all the time. He could replicate that. He could reproduce that 100 times over without batting an eye. I mean, he probably had to blink once. But I get that stuff because I can't. Because I need it. I can't do it. Kenneth Bauer, man. First of all, appreciate that your mind is able to come up with the stuff you put out. Have you ever thought about doing some sort of tour before? Like maybe stand-up or even performing music live? Would be neat to see that creative process in person, dog. The answer is yes. I would very much like to do that. That's something that I am slowly working out in my head, the logistics of it. If it's not this year, hopefully next year. If it's not next year, hopefully the year after that. It's something that I definitely want to do and will happen, but I have no set date for that yet. It'll be the couch tour. It's where I tour from couch to couch and do a show in your living room and bring you lots of beer. Also from Kenneth Bauer, how long did it take you to get comfortable with using Audacity? I have it downloaded and recently bought a decent microphone, but I get overwhelmed thinking about having so many things layered going on at once. Multiple voice tracks, music, sound effects, etc. Yeah. It can get a little, it can get confusing. The first thing maybe is just like try to simplify what you're going for, like to make it easier on yourself, to sort of ease yourself into that. Like maybe don't make your first thing in Audacity some sort of crazy sci-fi music, opera, sound effects, epic thing, because that would be difficult. You might want to get better at each individual part, like just editing the vocal track and then adding a sound of, like, you do some sort of scene in a park or something and you got two people talking, so you record them, get good at that, just recording and editing their conversation, pan one voice to the left, pan one voice to the right, so it sounds like they're in different places. It's important to get the timing right when you're editing vocal tracks, because it's very easy to get it wrong, and then it just doesn't sound like a conversation at all. It sounds like someone recorded it and like tried to edit it later. Like it's important to make that conversational flow really happen. And that's the first thing you should be doing when you're editing anyways. Like, you want to get your timing basically correct in your main vocal tracks, and then once that's like pretty much correct, then start adding in your ambient noise and your sound effects. Try to just get one track for your ambient noise. Like, just rip it from YouTube. Like, it's easy. It's like this. It's obviously dependent on like where your scene's taking place, but try to keep that in mind. You just do a park. That's easy as hell. Just rip it from YouTube. Park sounds, 10 hours or some shit, and put it way, way down in the mix, way like negative 20 decibels or something like, or more. Make it real quiet. It's just a little texture in there, or go record your own park sounds. I mean, it's easy enough. Like if you got a little mobile mic, just stand out in a field for 5 minutes, boom. Then when you have the ambient sound and the vocal tracks, that should only be like 3 tracks now total, but that's the majority of your sound, and then the last couple things are working on the sound effects and music. I don't know. These things can get confusing, but all you got to do is just take it one step at a time and slowly build it out. Try to like basically complete each step before moving on to the next one. Because when you don't have the timing really well set on the vocal track, and then you start adding in the sound effects and the ambient, like you're gonna have to do a lot of shifting and stuff, and tiny tweaks like all over to get it all sounding good. Whereas if you've got like the vocal track and it sounds good just by itself without anything else, it sounds like a conversation, or it sounds like a monologue or whatever, then move on to the next thing. I don't know if this is good advice. I've never told anyone this before, but that was my advice. Reagan Holland, again, what brand of cigarettes do you smoke and or prefer? Oh, I just finished. Do I have it? Yeah, I just finished a pack of Pall Malls. I don't really have, like, it's a preference, I guess, but it's like I just smoke whatever cigarette I saw last in a piece of media, because I'm very suggestible. So there was a scene, like I watched Rosemary's Baby a couple months ago, and there's a scene where the husband character guy comes home and he empties out a carton of Pall Malls onto the table, and he says, "Loot!" And I've been smoking Pall Malls since I saw that scene. Rebecca B., what's the most frightening thing that has ever happened to you that you've experienced? What's the most frightening thing that has ever happened to me that I've ever experienced? Okay, this isn't a great answer, but because it's not like I don't know. Like, I feel like I should have an answer like an animal attacked me or something, like a bear. But I don't think I've ever had anything like really mortally frightening happen to me. But I was in a state of panic at one point that I can remember when I was in high school. We did this. We put on this show, this comedy show, this sketch show, and I learned this rule when we did this show, is that you never do the same comedy show 2 nights in a row. And I've learned that rule a couple times, actually. So there's the second night of this comedy show. It was like the same audience from the first night, except like only a quarter of them. So there's very few people there. They had all seen it all before. Like, it's not funny. It's not funny. They had just seen it. It was just like people being supportive. And we were in the very last sketch of the show. I was playing a cop, and it's like at a hardware store, and there's a guy who's like a very obvious terrorist who was very obviously trying to buy supplies, terrorism supplies, to make a bomb or something. Anyway, he was very obvious, and the cashier was just not picking it up, and neither was the cop. But I screwed up my lines at some point in there, and the whole sketch became derailed, and I went mad. I went briefly mad, and my fight or flight instinct was fully charged, and I decided to fight the audience, to wrangle this situation with force, and I went crazy. I just started freaking monologuing about how everything was broken and it could never be fixed, and I went into the audience and I forcibly took someone up on stage and made them stand on stage for the rest of the sketch as I very awkwardly tried to start it up again. I hawked a big loogie on the stage because I was just trying to be shocking to just divert attention away from whatever the hell was going on. That was kind of frightening. Was it the most frightening thing that it wasn't the most frightening thing that ever happened to me probably, but I can't really that's a weird one. I have to think hard about all the frightening things in my life. And I don't want to do that. I'll just think of one. So you got that one. All right. Sharon Hankins, do you like to re-listen to your work? What's your favorite meal if you have one? I do re-listen to my work. Probably more the songs, just because I like to sing along. You know, I'm a sing-songy sort of guy. But with a lot of like the sketches and stuff, I'm usually sick of those by the time I put them out because I've been listening to them a whole bunch, like and getting them prepared. But then I'll, after some time has passed and I've forgot them a bit, I like to go back and listen to them again. There's definitely older videos of mine that like I haven't re-listened to in a very very long time. Just because I don't think they're good anymore, or I at the time I listened to them so many times I'm just like never need to hear them again ever. Like the big videos, like Something Terribly Offensive and Don't Ever Look at Me and the Grill one. Like it'll be a while before I'm really wanting to re-listen to those. And then generally good music, just a statement. These questions are keeping me up at night. Well, that was a month ago that you said that. And all these questions are from 2 months ago or more. I'm sorry it took so damn long. I just needed the right amount of coffee in my system. That was the problem. I kept trying to do it. I was like, I'm gonna have a couple beers when I do this, but it was making me sluggish. I needed this coffee. I'm pumping right now. I'm pumping. I'm going so fast. I answered these questions. All I did in under 40 minutes. All right. Thank you for your questions. Sorry again it took so damn long to answer them. Hopefully these answers are acceptable. You find them acceptable. Okay. Have a good day.